I'm sitting alone in a dimly lit bar on a Thursday night, nursing a whiskey I can barely afford. My girlfriend of 3 years left me 2 weeks ago, and I'm still trying to process it. The breakup wasn't dramatic, just a slow fade, her eyes losing interest, her excuses piling up. I feel hollow. An older man, maybe mid-40s, takes the stool next to mine. He's well-dressed but worn, like someone who used to care about appearances but doesn't anymore. He orders 2 beers without asking and slides one to me. I'm suspicious at first, but he smiles, genuine, sad, and says, "You look like you need it." "Thanks," I mutter, accepting the beer with a nod. We start talking. He asks about my life, and I mention the breakup. He listens without offering shallow advice, which I appreciate. Then he mentions my father's name. I freeze. My dad passed away 5 years ago. The old man, his name is Michael, tells me they worked together at a construction firm in the early 2000s. He remembers my dad fondly, says he was a good man who helped him through a rough patch. "Your father gave me time off when my mother was sick," he explains, swirling his beer. "Didn't dock my pay. Didn't ask questions. Just said, family comes first. You don't find bosses like that anymore." I nod, feeling the familiar ache whenever someone mentions Dad. "That sounds like him," I respond softly. Michael seems to understand, giving me space to process before continuing. "That's why I'm here," he admits finally. "I saw you a couple times when you'd visit the site as a teenager. Recognized you when you walked in. Figured I'd return the favor your dad did me." Michael talks about life, about how relationships are fragile, how trust is everything. His voice is calm but heavy, like he's carrying something unbearable. He buys another round. Then, as the night wears on, he leans in and says, "I need a favor, a big one, because I knew your father and I trust you." "What kind of favor?" I ask warily. He looks at me with hollow eyes and says, "I need you to record something, a story. My story. And then, I need you to show the world what betrayal really looks like." The bar has emptied around us, just a few stragglers nursing their drinks in the corners. The bartender wipes down the counter, glancing occasionally in our direction. Michael's eyes hold mine, unwavering. There's something in them that makes me uncomfortable. Not danger, but desperation. The kind that comes from a man who has nothing left to lose. "What happened to you?" I question. Michael finishes his beer, stares at the empty glass, and answers, "I married the love of my life, and she destroyed me." His words hang between us, heavy with a promise of something dark. I should walk away. I should tell him I'm not interested in whatever this is. But there's something in his voice, something in the way his hands shake slightly as he sets down his empty glass, that keeps me rooted to my seat. "Tell me," I say, and I can hear the resignation in my voice. Maybe it's because I'm broken too. Maybe it's because I want to know how much worse it can get. Or maybe it's just because he knew my father. And I've been missing that connection for 5 years. Michael nods, his eyes fixed on some point in the distance, and begins to speak. "I met Catherine in my junior year of college," Michael begins. "I was studying engineering, head always buried in textbooks. She was taking art history, vibrant, passionate, full of life. We shouldn't have worked. She lived for spontaneity. I thrived on routine. But somehow, we balanced each other perfectly." Michael describes their first date, a disastrous attempt at making dinner that ended with them ordering pizza on his apartment floor, laughing until 3 a.m. How she dragged him to art galleries and jazz clubs, expanding his world beyond equations and blueprints. How he taught her to appreciate the beauty and structure and planning, in building something that lasts. "We married young, both 24, he continues. "The wedding was small, just close family and friends in her parents' backyard. Catherine wore wildflowers in her hair instead of a veil. I remember thinking I'd never seen anything so beautiful." He talks about their life together, the tiny apartment they could barely afford, the Saturday morning breakfasts that became their ritual, the way she'd paint in their spare room while he fixed things around the house. 10 years later, they bought a house in the suburbs. Nothing fancy, but it was theirs. They planted a garden together, made plans, built a life. 5 years into our marriage, we decided to try for children, Michael says, his voice growing quieter. After months of nothing, we saw a specialist. The diagnosis was clear. I was sterile. Childhood mumps, they said. Catherine cried that night, not because she blamed me, but because she hurt for me. She held me and said it didn't matter. "We have each other," she told me. "That's enough." For years, he believed her. They redirected their energy. Michael climbed the corporate ladder, becoming a senior project manager. Catherine worked part-time at a local gallery, cultivating emerging artists. Life settled into a comfortable rhythm. Not the passion of their early years, but something deeper, more enduring, or so he thought. But over the past year, things changed, Michael continues, his eyes darkening. Catherine became different, distant. She started going out more. Girls' nights, she'd call them. New clothes, different perfume. I noticed, but said nothing. 20 years together builds a foundation of trust. At least that's what I told myself. Small changes at first. Her phone always placed face down. Passwords changed on her accounts. Showers immediately upon coming home. The classic signs Michael realizes now that should have been obvious. But love is blind, and trust makes fools of us all. 3 months ago, I couldn't ignore it anymore. He states, his voice hardening. She'd flinch when I touched her unexpectedly. She'd get texts late at night and step outside to answer them. Our intimacy had all but vanished. Always excuses, always too tired. The doubt, it gnaws at you, eats you from the inside. He started paying attention, really paying attention. He checked phone records, noted the discrepancies in her stories. The friend she was supposedly having dinner with posting pictures from a different restaurant. The gallery event that mysteriously ran 3 hours longer than advertised. I convinced myself I was paranoid, insecure. That 20 years of marriage deserved better than my suspicion, Michael says with a hollow laugh devoid of humor. But the doubt, it's like cancer. Once it takes root, it spreads until it's all you can think about. He leans back, staring at the ceiling, his expression hardening into something resolute and terrible. I installed a camera in our bedroom, he confesses. I wish to God I hadn't. The bartender calls last round. Michael ignores him, lost in his memory, and I signal for 2 more. Whatever is coming next, I sense we'll both need the liquid courage. The camera was small, discreet. I hid it in the decorative clock on our bedroom dresser. Michael explains, his voice clinical now, detached, like he's reading from a technical manual rather than describing the dismantling of his life. I didn't want to catch anything. I wanted to prove myself wrong. For the first week, nothing happened. Catherine came home, watched TV, went to bed. Michael felt foolish, ashamed of his suspicion. But then came Tuesday. I'd left for work as usual. Around 10 a.m., while reviewing footage during my lunch break, I saw her make a call, he recounts, his hands tightening around his glass. She was smiling, laughing in a way she hadn't with me in years. He's gone, she said. Come over. An hour later, the front door opened. A man walked in, early 30s, athletic build, confident stride. Michael describes him with mechanical precision, no emotion, just facts. The man who was sleeping with his wife? They didn't waste time with pleasantries. Michael continues, his voice cracking slightly. I watched the footage in my car, parked at a grocery store lot. Couldn't go home, couldn't face anyone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold my phone. It wasn't just that would have been painful enough. It was the intimacy. The way Catherine looked at this man, tender, passionate, alive. The way she hadn't looked at Michael in years. The whispered words, the promises. The plans. It happened again 2 days later. And again the following week, he adds bitterly. Always when I was at work. Always in our bed, the bed I'd bought with my first big bonus. 20 years of marriage, and she brought him into our sanctuary. Michael hired a private investigator, needing third-party confirmation of what he already knew. The PI delivered a folder within a week. Photos, timestamps, a motel receipt, screenshots of text messages. Catherine had been seeing this man, named David. He learned for 8 months. The PI caught them at a cafe downtown, holding hands across the table like teenagers, Michael recalls, his voice trembling with barely contained rage. Then at a motel off the interstate. Then shopping for groceries together, groceries she would cook in my kitchen while I was working overtime to pay for our anniversary vacation. The most devastating discovery came in the text messages. They talked about leaving their spouses. They talked about starting over together. They talked about having children. That was the knife twist Michael reveals, his voice barely audible. She told him she wanted his baby. That she'd always wanted children, but I couldn't give them to her. That she'd been waiting all these years for someone who could make her a mother. Throughout this revelation, Michael confronted nothing. He played the devoted husband. He kissed her goodnight, asked about her day, smiled when she lied to his face. Inside, he was disintegrating. I considered divorce, he admits. But the thought of her walking away, free, happy with him, unpunished for what she'd done, made me physically ill. I thought about confrontation, but what would that change? She'd made her choice. Every day, every lie, every time she welcomed him into our bed. The bar is nearly empty now. The bartender eyes us warily but doesn't approach. Michael's face has transformed, the sadness replaced by something harder, something colder. His eyes have gone flat like polished stone. Tonight, right now, Catherine is with him. In our house. In our bed, he states, his voice eerily calm. And I'm going to end it. All of it. A chill runs through me. I should leave. I should call someone. But I'm frozen, caught in the gravity of his tragedy. I need the world to see what she did, Michael declares. And I need you to show them. What are you planning? I ask, my mouth dry despite the alcohol. He doesn't answer. He just stands, drops cash on the bar, and says, "Let's go." We leave the bar into the cold night air. The streets are empty, silent except for our footsteps and the occasional passing car. Michael walks with purpose, hands buried deep in his coat pockets. I follow, uncertain why I'm doing this. Perhaps it's the connection to my father. Perhaps it's morbid curiosity. Perhaps the breakup has left me too numb to care about consequences. My phone is already recording in my jacket pocket. I'm not sure why I started it, but something tells me I should document whatever happens next. The house is about 15 minutes from here, Michael informs me, his breath forming clouds in the cold air. We bought it 12 years ago. I saved for years for the down payment. Catherine picked all the colors. Sky blue for the living room, pale yellow for the kitchen. Said it would bring in the sun. He talks as we walk, his voice distant. He describes the backyard barbecues they hosted every summer. The Christmas mornings spent in matching pajamas. The routine they'd built, coffee together in the mornings, dinner together every night, no matter how busy they were. I built her a studio in the spare bedroom, he reminisces. Custom shelving for her supplies. Skylight installed so she'd have natural light. She used to paint for hours, completely lost in it. I'd bring her tea and she'd look up, surprised it had gotten dark. She stopped painting 6 months ago, said she was in a creative rut. The night air grows colder as we walk. A patrol car passes slowly, the officer inside giving us a cursory glance before moving on. Michael doesn't even notice. I left work early today, he reveals suddenly. Told my boss I was sick. I went home. Saw his car parked 2 blocks away. He laughs humorlessly. He always parks there thinking he's being discreet. Everyone on the street knows. Our neighbors, our friends, they've all seen him. They all know I feel sick, not just at the thought of what Michael might be planning, but at the public humiliation he's endured, the collective silence of those around him, too uncomfortable to speak the truth. Why me? I ask as we turn onto a tree-lined suburban street. Why drag me into this? Michael slows his pace, looks at me with hollow eyes. Because you're young, he answers. Because you still have time to learn from my mistakes. Because maybe if you see this, you'll be more careful. You'll see the signs I missed. We reach his street. It's quiet, suburban, lined with oak trees. His house is at the end, a 2-story colonial with a blue door. The lights are on upstairs, casting a warm glow through the curtains. From the outside, it looks like the perfect home, the American dream. Michael stops at the driveway. He pulls out his keys. I see his hand shaking. Are you ready? He questions. I'm not. I'll never be ready for whatever's about to happen. But I nod anyway. He unlocks the front door quietly. The house is silent except for faint sounds from upstairs, muffled voices, laughter. The living room is tastefully decorated. Family photos on the walls, comfortable furniture, a life built over decades. But there are clothes scattered on the floor, a man's jacket, Catherine's blouse. Evidence of their haste. Michael picks them up one by one, holds them to the camera I'm now openly filming with. His face is blank, emotionless, as if he's handling evidence at a crime scene rather than the physical proof of his wife's betrayal. Then he starts up the stairs. Each step creaks slightly, but the sounds from the bedroom don't stop. They don't hear us. They're too lost in each other. I follow, my heart pounding, the camera steady. At the top of the stairs, Michael pauses at the bedroom door. He takes a deep breath, then pushes it open. The door swings open with a soft creak. The bedroom is dimly lit by a bedside lamp, casting long shadows across the walls. Catherine is there, naked, her body entwined with her lover's beneath the sheets. Her back is to the door, her face buried in his neck. They don't notice us at first, too consumed by each other. Then Catherine turns. Her eyes widen. She screams Michael's name, pulling the sheet up to cover herself. The man, David, jerks upright, confusion and panic washing over his face. "Michael!" Catherine gasps. "What are you? You're supposed to be at work?" Michael interrupts, his voice unnervingly calm. "I called in sick today. Stomach trouble. Seems I was right to trust my gut." He walks toward them, each step measured and deliberate. I remain in the doorway, camera recording, frozen by the scene unfolding before me. I should leave. I should call the police. I should do something. But I don't move. Catherine is stammering, crying, words tumbling out. It's not what it looks like. I can explain. "Please, Michael," she pleads. "Not what it looks like?" Michael retorts with a hollow laugh. "You're naked in our bed with another man. Please, enlighten me as to what this actually is." David is scrambling to get dressed, apologizing. "I'm sorry, man. I didn't know," he stammers. "Didn't know what?" Michael demands, his voice rising for the first time. "That she was married? That this is my house, my bed? You didn't notice the wedding photos in the hallway? The men's clothes in the closet? Or did you just not care?" Michael lunges forward suddenly, his fist connecting with David's jaw. The younger man falls back onto the bed, blood streaming from his nose. Catherine screams, scrambling to the headboard, clutching the sheet to her chest. 20 years, Michael says, his voice breaking. 20 years, Catherine. Was it worth it? Was he worth it? She's sobbing now, mascara running down her cheeks. "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I was lonely. You were always working. We stopped talking. I needed," she whimpers. "You needed what? To humiliate me? To destroy everything we built?" Michael interrupts. He reaches into his jacket. My breath catches as he pulls out a revolver, old, heavy, worn. Catherine's scream turns into a choked sob. David raises his hands, blood still dripping from his nose. "Please," he begs. "Please, I'm sorry. We can talk about this. The gunshot is deafening in the small room." David collapses, blood spreading across the white sheets. Catherine's scream is primal, tearing through the air. She scrambles backward, falling off the bed, hands raised in front of her face. "Michael, please!" she sobs, her voice barely audible through her tears. "Please, I love you. We can fix this." "Please, you love me?" Michael questions, his voice hollow. "You betrayed me. You lied to me. Every day for months, you looked me in the eye and lied. You brought him into our home, into our bed." He turns the gun toward Catherine. She's on her knees now, hands clasped in front of her like she's praying. "Michael, think about what you're doing. This isn't you. You're not a killer," she pleads desperately. "I wasn't," he responds softly. "Until you made me one." The second shot echoes like the first. Catherine crumples to the floor, the sheet still tangled around her waist, her eyes fixed and staring. The room is thick with smoke and the smell of gunpowder. Michael stands there, the gun hanging at his side. Blood spatters his white shirt, his face, a grotesque painting of violence. He doesn't seem to notice or care. His eyes, when they meet mine, are empty, devoid of pain, anger, life itself. "Did you get it?" he asks, gesturing to the camera still gripped in my trembling hand. "Did you record it all?" I nod, unable to speak. "Make sure they see this," he instructs. "Make sure they know what she did, what she drove me to." Then he puts the gun to his temple and pulls the trigger. The sound is different this time, wetter somehow. Michael's body crumples like a marionette with cut strings. He falls beside Catherine, their blood mingling on the hardwood floor. In death, they are closer than they've been in months. The silence that follows is absolute. 3 bodies, 3 lives ended. Blood soaks into the carpet, the sheets, the walls. I stand there still recording as reality crashes over me. My hands are shaking so badly I can barely hold the phone. I stumble backward, out of the room, down the stairs. I dial 911, my voice cracking as I report what happened. I wait on the curb, numb, as sirens wail in the distance. The video is still recording. I don't turn it off. I can't! The police arrive within minutes. Flashing lights, shouted commands, hands pushing me to the ground, then helping me up once they realize I'm just a witness. I hand them my phone, the video still running. I'd already uploaded a copy to the cloud, as Michael had made me promise. They question me for hours in the back of a squad car, then at the station. I tell them everything, the bar, Michael's story, the walk, the house. They don't charge me. I'm a witness, not an accomplice. The video goes viral within days. Someone at the police station leaked it, or maybe a prosecutor, or maybe one of the first responders. It doesn't matter now. Millions of views, shares, comments. People are horrified, fascinated, divided. Some call Michael a monster. Others say Catherine got what she deserved. David becomes a footnote, collateral damage in someone else's tragedy. I don't read the comments. I can't. The funerals happen separately. Catherine's family holds theirs first. Closed casket, private ceremony. They blame Michael entirely. They give tearful interviews about domestic violence, about how Catherine was planning to leave him. I wonder if they know the truth, or if they're just protecting her memory. No one mentions the months of betrayal that preceded the violence. No one wants to speak ill of the dead except Michael. He's the villain in their story. David's widow, a petite blonde with swollen eyes, gives her own interview. She cries on camera saying she had no idea, that David was a good father, a good husband. I wonder if she's lying too, if she suspected something but chose to look the other way, if she's rewriting history now that he's gone. She blames Catherine for seducing him, Michael for killing him. Never David for cheating. Michael's funeral is small. A few colleagues. His elderly parents. No one speaks much. What is there to say? Their son became a killer. Their son is gone. The newspapers call it a jealous rage, a domestic tragedy. No one mentions the systematic destruction of a man's dignity. It's easier to reduce it to a moment of madness than to acknowledge the slow poison of deception. I go back to the bar where I met Michael. I sit in the same seat, order the same whiskey. I think about his face, that hollow, broken look. I think about my ex-girlfriend, the one who left me. I wonder if I dodged a bullet. Or if I'm just postponing the inevitable. Michael's story taught me something. Betrayal doesn't just hurt, it destroys. It strips away everything you thought was real. And for some people, there's no coming back from that. The foundation crumbles, and nothing can be built on ruins. I swore to myself that night, I'll never marry. I'll never put my life in someone else's hands. I'll never risk ending up like Michael. Sterile, replaced, humiliated, driven to the point where a gun feels like the only way to reclaim your dignity. People say love is worth the risk. Maybe it is. But I saw what happens when that gamble fails. I saw 3 bodies on a blood-soaked bed. I saw a good man become a murderer because the woman he loved made him feel like nothing. I still have the video. I watch it sometimes, late at night, when I can't sleep. Not because I want to, but because I need to remember. Betrayal is the worst kind of violence. It doesn't kill you outright. It hollows you out until you're not sure what's left. And if you're unlucky, if you're pushed far enough, you become the thing that destroys everything you once loved. Michael didn't want to be a killer. He wanted to be a husband. But Catherine took that from him. And in the end, he took everything from everyone. I don't know if he was right or wrong. I just know I'll never forget him. And I'll never let myself become him. I finish my drink, leave cash on the bar, and walk out into the cold night, alone, by choice, and maybe forever. And so, we've reached the end of today's story. Was it what you expected, or did it take a twist you didn't see coming? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Share them in the comments below, and let's get a conversation going. If this story kept you hooked, make sure to hit that like button. And if you're new here or just haven't subscribed yet, now's the perfect time to join our community. I bring you fresh, captivating stories every day, so click that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.